So basically, I'm not really sure where to start with this. I've been wanting a webcam for a really fucking long time. I just finally got the balls to do it. Um, yeah. So anyways, this is the Conquest Podquest. Eventually, we're gonna have a shit ton of friends on here. We're gonna have a whole bunch of conversations going. I'd like to keep this channel as something kind of like lighthearted, fun. I want to be able to express any thoughts we want. I want to be able to be philosophical as fuck. I want to be able to swear. I want to be able to drink beer. I want to be able to just talk with my friends. I want to be able to just have fun and live life because I think that's what you should be doing. I feel like we get distracted from that a lot of the time. I feel like the whole point of life has been clouded in this web of materialism, and everybody's kind of stuck in their day to day, and just having people that are like-minded that you could even watch or communicate with, or they're at least on the same wavelength as you, can at least get you through the day sometimes. I just want to give like positive motivation. I want people to laugh. I want people to think. I want this channel to be something that just enlightens people in whatever form that is. It doesn't have to be anything in particular. Like, all I hope from this channel in general is that people will listen to it and they'll gain something from it, something that they can bring forward into their future. It really doesn't matter to me. As long as people are gaining from this, then I've won. So, I mean, ultimately, I know sometimes I'm probably going to fucking ramble on forever, and you guys are going to be like, what the hell is he talking about? Just deal with it. I don't know. Skip forward. Don't watch the videos. I don't know what to tell you. I talk a lot, and I feel like this is the best venue for me to, like, get that shit out. Obviously, this is all going to be a big learning curve, and, like, a big psychological kind of upheaval for myself personally, just because I have to get over being able to talk to people, or like maybe nobody. I'm talking to a device right now, which means that in theory I'm talking to my fucking self in a room. But somewhere in the distant future, someone might hear this, and this might be something, spend 5 minutes of their time where they're just like, oh yeah, that made me laugh, or oh yeah, that shit made me think about some shit, and now I'm gonna go build the next fucking craziest invention this world's ever seen. And it's all because of the Conquest Podquest. So that's all I'm saying, man, is I'm just trying to spread knowledge, truth, wisdom, light, love, compassion, all that bullshit, and just have fun doing it. I mean, eventually I'd like to, just like everybody else that has dreams, I'd like to give back to this world. And I feel like I'm not really doing that right now with the job that I'm working. I feel like I'm doing the typical, slaving away. It's like, what am I doing with my life? I feel like I see too many people doing that right now, just wasting their lives away. It's unfortunate. And it's really saddening to go to work every day. And you see certain people who are just, they're stuck wherever they're at. But I mean, that might be because of their own actions, their own choices, societal shit. There's so many different variables. I'm not even gonna, it's a conversation for its own self later on with a bunch of other people if I can gather them for our first ever Conquest Podquest. Try to get all the buds together, fucking alcohol, all the good stuff, and just have laid back conversations. I mean, that's the point of life, is learning, and I feel like, flipping a fucking patty on a grill all day, or, pushing a shopping cart, or even, trying to sell people shit they don't need, a lot of the time that's defeating the purpose of, like, what the fuck is this, like, 12 hours of the day for some of us, or maybe 7 for others, or 4 for others, of the night, you're teleported to another fucking dimension. Like, your brain is transported from here to someplace else in non-local space-time in your own little fucking hyper pocket of hyperspace. That's literally what it is. It's space within infinite space. Like, we have infinity out here, then you're going into your own personal infinity. It goes on forever, forever, infinity, infinitely. And it's just like people are more caught up in this, oh, I'm gonna go to work today, drive my nice car, see if I can get laid, and everything. I just feel like it's kind of, we're pushing towards this, robotic, controlled Orwellian type future where everything is controlled. We are literally like in the Matrix, we're the battery that fucking runs this whole thing. And it's just insane that, we're nobody's stopping and saying, is this a good direction we're heading? Are we like, there's so much like energy, I feel like, being molded into society that it's just, I don't know, it's catastrophic. I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. That's what happens when you're alone. You're trying to bullshit people over the internet. Oh man. I don't know. Life's fucking crazy. I mean, for some of us, we're gonna spend our lives doing shit we don't want to do for people that we don't even give a fuck about, and they definitely don't give a fuck about us. We're gonna waste hours of our day, our health, our body, our fucking mind, everything we're giving to this company. Sorry, I'm plugging in my shit, so if you don't see me. But basically, I don't know. It's just like you're devoting yourself to an entity that gives back in a little bit, but it's, you know, so many people get scared. They're fearful of, like, I can't make my own business. I'm too afraid to set off on my own. I'm fearful of the future. I'm fearful for this. And fear is what I feel like holds everybody back. I mean, it is what holds everyone back. It's the fear of success, maybe the fear of not having success. It's the fear of the unknown. Ultimately, it's the fear of death or a mini death, like when you get rejected or if you don't succeed, failure. It's a form of miniature death that you go through emotionally until you can recover. Well, for some of us, the less stronger of us, I mean, there are people out there that are more resilient when shit happens to them, and they're able to just brush that off and be like, no, I ain't fucking taking that. I'm going forward. Nobody's fucking stopping me. I have what it takes to be the best, and I will be the best. And they don't have to be told that. They don't have someone every morning waking up saying, hey man, you're the best, you're going to be the greatest. They have themselves telling themselves to wake up every morning and do that for it themselves. It is the self-mastering the body, the mind, like, it is the self-mastery that is what it is, and there's a certain breed of person out there that encapsulate this kind of, this ultimate human or potential of what we could be, like Michael Jordan fucking slam dunking all over motherfuckers, or whether you're like Tiger Woods golfing up and down that fucking, you know, whoa, teeing off, man. I don't give a fuck. It's just Bruce Lee. There's these people that are just so out of a league of their own that it's they they've brought in potential, human potential, to a level that was never thought possible, and in doing so and in pushing that, like, that potentiality, they allow the people behind them to reach that new level. And I think it's just that constant push, because it's not about like what you can't see, because everything started out as something you couldn't see and then goes back to being something you can't see when it becomes outdated or obsolete. But it's like in the time it's there, you know, people are so easy to be like, yeah, it's awesome, it's there, I was doing that then. But before it existed, you know, there was somebody somewhere that had to have the vision, that had to know that even though things can't be seen, or whether it's an action, an object, a circumstance, it doesn't matter, it's your life. Like, you have to be able to see through the unseen, pull some shit out of nothing and make it real. Like, that's how life was fucking formed, man. Like, from nothing to something. And if you want anything in life, you're going to start with nothing and you can make something. It's just believing in yourself while there's this nothingness, and then having the belief, having the faith, and putting in the required work to manifest the material. And like, that's what these people are doing, these masters of selves, masters of matter, masters of time and space. Like, you have people who have literally broken like what we thought is possible, like with either human endeavors or like inventions. It doesn't matter what it is. Like, we are constantly pushing forward to this, like, this pinnacle, this level of perfection. We constantly need more. We need this. We need whatever it is, the new biggest baddest thing. It's like we're I don't even know, we're headed to this, like, or Terrence McKenna brought it up once, the Stranger Tractor. It's this point at the end of time where perfection has reached like a singularity so crazy, this event horizon. It's just this black hole of completion that it's literally pulling space-time towards it, and that's this future moving towards the end of time, where it's already completed at the end of time, and it's pulling time through itself towards it to become it, even though it already is it. But it has to become it, but it has to have a place to go to. It's not stuff. I mean, like, I love philosophy, I love quantum physics, I love all this shit. Who's calling me on the podcast? I got a phone call. Carla. Hold on. So yeah, basically, after all that shit, I got completely derailed off what I was saying, so now I don't have a fucking clue. But either way, I mean, honestly, I just think life's fucking insane. It's a glorious thing. Like, if you're not, I hate it when people say they're bored, because there should be no reason you should be bored. There's so many things you can do. It's infinite. I mean, I can see how you can be bored when you don't possess the faculties, or it's not even that you don't possess the faculties, you don't care or you don't want to, or it's a form of laziness because you, yeah, it's a form of laziness. Like, anything's possible, anything at all. You can literally, if, there's nothing that you can tell me right now that's not possible. I mean, somewhere in time and space, if you believe time and space are infinite and there is no end to all this, that's if you believe that. But if that holds true mathematically for you, then somewhere in time and space in that infinity, everything that has ever happened or ever will happen or already has happened or is happening right now somewhere in time and space. It's just the multiverse. It's or in another dimension, another parallel universe, or within this one, just in another spot. Like, somewhere this is playing out, or at some time. But time is another form of space. It's just, you can never, it's not something you can pick up or grab, but you can feel time moving forward. It's a movement. It's a direction. It's not a visible direction in the sense that you can see it moving forward other than through the movement of objects, and then you measure time through the space that they moved. But time itself, like, you couldn't measure throwing time through time, or maybe you could. I don't know how that would work. I'm not smart enough for that. But I'm sure there's somebody out there that can do that fucking level of calculation. I'm just not interested enough, and I mean, I'm sure it's possible. I'm definitely, like, I don't doubt it. Like, I feel like everything is possible. The only thing that we're limited by is our ability to conceive of an idea and how we may bring it into reality. I mean, it could be something so fucking outlandish, like Nikola Tesla assuming that there was energy, free energy everywhere in every point in space and on the globe. I mean, like, that probably sounds like witchcraft to anyone before. Even now that sounds like witchcraft, but like, and we have all this crazy technology, and you're telling me that anywhere out in here and out over there and shit, there's energy. It's just contained within space. It's like, how do you access that? And because nobody had ever thought to access something that they didn't believe in anyways, how could you access it? It didn't matter that it existed because nobody believed that you could just grab energy out of free space and that it's free. Like, you don't need these fucking cords that are connecting all my shit, like, or any of this. Like, it's there already. You could make devices, like, each house could be its own fucking generator of energy. Like, we could have little fucking devices on the outside of our homes that's built to fucking power the whole thing by generating free fucking energy out of the air. Like, we wouldn't need to have dams and have other ways of fucking manifesting electricity that we have now. Like, we could just fucking have it, and then that suddenly gives power to, like, the whole fucking the world, really. Like, if we could figure out a way, I mean, if we're already figuring out a way to take fucking computers that were the size of rooms, and now I have an iPod that's literally the size of my fucking thumbnail, like, I'm pretty positive that we could come up with a way to take something that big, or an idea, like, how would we even put that on the outside of a house? It would have to be huge. Down to the time where we could have it the fucking size of a TV, like this big or something, or like a small thing. Like, I just don't. The world we live in is so fucked up, and I know, like, I'm being very idealistic and outlandish in my thinking, but I don't think it's too far off to assume that, like, we could be living in a much better world. Like, we have access to free energy, we have access to new resources, renewable, like, the fucking sun could power this whole planet. Like, I don't understand why people don't band together and realize that. Like, we can make technologies where I saw this fucking, like, glass globe where, like, the sun hits it at a certain point, and because of the magnification through the sphere of this, like, just giant sphere of glass, when it passes through, it's harnessing all the sun energy, hitting it somehow through, I don't know, whatever fucking process they figured out, and it converts it to solar energy. Like there's plenty of spots on this planet. Like we have deserts that are just empty and filled with sand where you get lost and buried and die. And we could fill with like miles of fucking solar energy plants wherever the sun goes by the fucking desert every single day. Like there's so many unique and creative ways to clean up the earth, or like just even make inventions, like be creative. We could turn this place into such a cooler, more aesthetically pleasing, more like robust and diverse looking environment with cars or things. Like think outside the fucking box. Like why haven't we evolved from cars? There's so many other things. Like someone invented the car, and now that's the invention we use for transportation to get everywhere because we decided on roads. But like what if I wanted to fucking make, I don't know, something that wasn't a car or didn't have wheels or like something, but the only reason we all agreed upon it is because everybody's fucking has bought into the idea of a car and the roadway and the highways and all this shit. But like the highways and all this stuff like present way more of a problem than like they're worth. Like what if we made some fucking like metallic sphere that you could just fucking get in and just be seated in, and it'd be like a fucking sphere, you know, whatever. You have like a fucking seat and you're flying around on electromagnetic like waves and it's rolling through the air through at a certain fucking like, I don't know. We could get so creative now. I know we have the technology. It's not even like, oh, how would we even do something like that? Like, no, the military knows how we would do something like that. Like, they're making way cooler inventions than that idea. They have people probably fucking paid that live in fucking underground bunkers designing this shit and making it up. Like, we've known about electromagnetic levitation and all these different things encountering the Earth's electromagnetic field, and how do we dispel the effects of gravity or anti-gravity devices and all the like it all exists. It's all out there. But to most people, it's just like, oh, that's just a show I saw on TV. Like, oh, that's cool, Area 51. Or, and it's like, dude, like, take these concepts and really think that, like, out there, in here, like, in your fucking bedroom, you motherfucker, like, that in this world that you can look out your windows out and around, like, that is the world you live in. Like, a world ruled by a dark government. Like you have our regular government you see, then you have like the shadow government that fucking rules that, like all these compartmentalized CIA, FBI, like all these sub projects, blacklisted, you know, spec ops, like you unacknowledged special access programs like USAPs. Like there's just so many different like things that the average person like doesn't even want to concern themselves with, because if you did, you'd go nuts. Like you'd sit there and be like, if you really sat down and did the research, or like look at redacted documents, or looked at a whole bunch of different things, like you would realize that the knowledge is out there. Like the average person just either doesn't want to hear it, it's cognitive dissonance because they have a pre-established idea of how the world is, and this is how I view it, and if I if this isn't what I believe, then they have to reconsider their whole life. Like what you're doing when you're proposing ideas that are outside the realm of people's box is that they feel like it's a form of attack or a form of death. It's everything always equals like either living or death, yes or no, one or zero, off or on. And so when you put people in this fight or flight response, they immediately start getting heated, because that's literally what's happening is the fight or flight response. Is they're feeling challenged upon what they feel like is what they've rested their psychological identity. Everything rests upon most people's beliefs, if they're a really strongly belief type person. You know, like I am personally not. I mean, I have beliefs, but like I'm not so grounded or rooted into what I believe that I can't be changed, or like I'm very open to most things, so I at least like will listen, and I'm not like, no, my way is the way. And like for those people, when you try to bring up an idea to them, it's just like, I don't even know, dude. It's just I can't even, you know, it's just retarded. But either way, like I guess what I'm trying to get at is like when you try to give people about these certain things that I'm way too fucking. Yeah, Basically, when you say these things to these people, they feel attacked. And from that point, they will do anything to, save that version of themselves because you're attacking it. And so, they're going to say or they try to disprove or just automatically, no, that's not right, that's not real, because they don't want to believe or hear it. And sometimes, like that's not really a healthy thing. And like when you have a large number, yeah, when you have a large number of people out there that think that, it gets really hard because then it gets ingrained in society or in culture almost. And like you just have people who like don't even care in the face of like all this social injustice, all these things that are going on. You have people out there that are just like, nah, it's completely fine, because they want to believe that it's fine. They want to believe that their version of the world is what it is. And like anything else that challenges that, like they literally will fight you to like preserve who they are and what they think the world's about and how they fit into it. And it's literally like the Matrix. It's like they become an agent and they fight for the system. Like anyone that's not unplugged from the Matrix is still potentially an agent of the system. And like that's so true. Like it's not just like get past the fucking like the physical aspect of that and look into the symbolical aspect, within a system, which is like our system, like the world we live in, society. Like there are agents, and it's not just fucking dudes with sunglasses and slick back hair. Like these are your neighbor or anyone that is predisposed to like buying into society, because that's what it is. It feeds off people. It needs people to exist, and like people act as its arbiter. It can be a good and bad thing. It's a double-edged sword in many cases, because society can be very great in the sense that if you're being idealistic, the police force, if it was the most idealistic thing, is, completely spot on. It is there for what it should be. Like, it's great, but does it work that way? No. But at the same time, like, if we didn't have a police force, would things be okay? I think that's up to debate. I mean, there's a lot of, aspects of that where like there's a lot of people who are like anti-police, pro-police. I'm really neither. I'm in the middle of that. I mean, I respect human beings. There are police officers. Everyone's a human being. Every officer is a human being. And at the end of the day, like they're making decisions I'm not making on a daily basis. They're being put into situations that I'm not being put into on a daily basis. I've been put in situations that I felt like were personally stressful or whatever on my own relative small pussy size scale. You know what I mean? Like I've never been in the army. I've never, done anything like that. I've had my own personal encounters, like with fights and knives and street violence, but it's never anything like where there was guns involved or gang. Well, yeah, but and at the same time, like there's never, or like war and things like that. So like I have nothing on people who have PTSD from that. Not that I'm trying to, oh my, I got PTSD, but it's just, like I would assume that like that job in general is not something that I think anybody's really qualified to pull off. I mean, yeah, people can do it. They do it every day, but I think after a while of doing that, it's something, it's like being a war veteran every day, but like being out on the battle, like the streets are your battlefield, and like when the streets are your battlefield, and like you're militarizing the police now, to a certain extent, and when home soil becomes the battlefield for these dudes, like they don't like go home and it's back to normal. It's like when that dude steps out his door, he's on the battlefield. Like in his mind, he could be shopping at fucking Walmart, going through the toy section, and he's just like ready to rock and load. Like that's why they took out that dude in Walmart that picked up that fucking gun. Like these guys are ready to rock and load. Like they have guns, they want to use them. I mean, it's human nature. Like you give somebody something, they want to use it. It's a tool. Like that's what it's used for. And when you're desensitizing like officers or people who are, they just get desensitized over time, whether it's from PTSD, you know, certain incidences. They might have mental illness. Like there's a lot of employed officers with a history of mental illness or police brutality that are still employed. Like, I mean, there's not that I'm getting into, you know, oh, the negative side of the police force or the positive, but I mean, like, there's many ways of looking at it, and I hate like when a certain subject isn't viewed from all sides because I feel like that's very biased. Like a lot of the time when I post on Facebook or I do stuff like that, I mean, like I'm a big fan of cop block just because I feel like people should be held accountable. Like the police should be held accountable. If you, as soon as you say as a human being that you're gonna put on a fucking shiny badge and do your thing and you want to protect us, the people, and that is your new job, then yes, like you need to be held accountable if you're given a gun. If you're given a license to kill people that are citizens, like you need to be held the most accountable out of any profession that involve like well same with a surgeon or anything else like that. Like there should be no like I hate it when I see police officers that have been in, you know, on the force, you know, for 20 years and then they have a history of like beating people or shooting people, and then you see these officers getting paid vacations all the time, or tenure, or they're still in the force. And I just feel like there's this weird, like, fraternal brotherhood, like, uh, you just see it all the time. Like, if I could recommend anything, just check out the Cop Block page, and on Facebook, or they might even have a site too. But, I mean, keep in mind that like some of it might be biased, I feel like at times, but for the most part like it's pretty spot on. I mean, like you should take anything you read with a grain of salt anyways and come to your own logical conclusion based on information that you've read and you know to be accurate and like you've proofread or fact checked or whatever. I mean, I have a habit of sometimes just sharing shit and not even checking, but like a lot of the time, like if you want to know what you're talking about at least and be up to date and educated and shit, I mean you gotta be researched. You gotta like be making sure that what you're reading is, you know, legit, not satire or like uneducated or just filth put out there to like cause propaganda or people to like think shit. Wow, I thought I hallucinated. I thought I saw a cat out there on the fucking windows. Next thing you know, I die on camera. Holy shit, monster! Oh, but yeah, I think, you know, the biggest thing when a lot of things like this with society, where it can be good or bad, because like I said, with the police force, I mean, that's a double-edged sword. You got some cops out there who wake up every morning and like they put the badge on and their suit and they fucking strap up with a gun and they're a good cop. You know, they might be a family man. They might, you need to be a family man, but like they just like an ideal good person who's waking up like they train every day. They or you don't need to, like there's a lot of stuff. They're just a good person, someone who's out there to like not just be giving people fucking tickets for speeding over 3 miles over or whatever. Like a good person who's out there to stop criminals, people who are trying to murder, rape, kill, like victim crimes. Like a police officer who's like doing his job on to the best of his ability, as fair and with compassion, but also, you know, with strict, you know, law, whatever, and all that bullshit. And then you have officers, you know, who the majority of them who use this position of power to bully and coerce and dictate being a legal color of law and just like literally using their position of authority and power to uh, seduce and or yeah get people to do what they want, and like they know that, like they know, and I hate that air around people like that. Like, I'm a cop, you have to respect me. It's like, I don't respect you. Why should I respect you any more than the guy giving me the ice cream scoops over here? Like, I was sorry, in my mind I was at ice cream fucking thinking of black raspberry ice cream and ice cream place, yep. Anyways, so I mean, I think the biggest thing with society in general is that like while it can be good, it can be also very bad. And what we've turned our current society into is just insane. And you have all these people out there who are agents of this matrix we've constructed that are willing to die for it. And you know, like you're fucking, oh, I always lived like this place, and then like they're willing to salute right up and fucking go over there. Like, I'm not just talking, I'm not just in the army either. Like, I'm just saying with the police, same with anything. There's always the good and the bad of something. And like with American, I feel like with the army and all these things, like I think ideally, yes, all those things are needed, and at times people would be like, "Oh, we don't need to kill." Well, I mean, you got to get real. I mean, yeah, nobody should be murdered, nobody should be killed. There should be no war in the most ideal circumstances, but we don't live in that time yet, even though that time does exist in time and space somewhere. And like, I believe that's something that like as a culture, as a species, as nations, like we work towards or don't work towards. Some of us, with war, but like I think the ultimate goal for all of us, I mean, whether we're opposing nations or anything, like their idea of what the ultimate goal is for each nation, their vision of where they're reaching for, is a utopia for that nation, or maybe for some of them it's a fucking post-apocalyptic fuckfest, rapeville, fucking one guy rules it all, Highlander bullshit. Like, there can only be one Mr. President. Like, I don't even know. Like, at the same time, I mean, there's so many different paths I feel like we could be headed with the future. I mean, like, yeah, there's one world government, and I mean, depending on if you're religious, then you're like, oh my God, the new world order, one world government, like it's happening, like Mark of the Beast, 666. And then if you're just like, your average fucking dude, like, then you're just like, oh, okay, well, that would be kind of cool. Maybe we'll get like Star Trek, or like, we'll band together and shit will get a little nutty. And then, I mean, I think ultimately, like, it's almost like we're too smart for how much technology we have, or the level, or maybe we're not. I mean, like I say, like we're too smart, like as in everyone or myself. But I feel like in the sense that like we could imagine what it would be like if we were super intelligent, like at this point in time, yet we don't have the physical means to exploit that intelligence in the same way that like a homeless person who might be like super fucking smart and could do like all this shit doesn't have the means because he doesn't have the money. But if you gave that dude like $1 million, he might be able to like make the craziest shit because he's a genius, but he just doesn't have the resources in the same way we don't right now, or the right materials to make the things we're dreaming of, or the right minds to make them. Or maybe the bum was not a good analogy. Probably spend it all on booze. Alright, that was my attempt at a bad joke. But anyways, so I was, nah, I don't fucking care. I'm getting pretty close to done. This is the first podcast. Pretty soon we're gonna have a shit ton of people on here, and we'll velociraptorize a bit more. But yeah, I guess until then, y'all keep conquesting.